Enough for a catch and shoot. Dickinson will put it in. There's the catch. Here's the shot. Wagner off the glass. No! Oh! It's over! And UCLA from the first four to the final four!
2021 Final Four is set as the 11th seed UCLA Bruins take on the undefeated number 1 seed Gonzaga Bulldogs. And the Baylor Bears, the other number 1 seed, face off against the number 2 seeded Houston Cougars. As for the women's side, it's a battle of 1 seeds as Stanford squares off against South Carolina, and the other 1 seed UConn Huskies, led by Paige Beckers, face off against the Arizona Wildcats. Which of these teams from both Final Fours from the men's side and women's side will face off for the national championship? Plus, we make our predictions for the 2021 MLB Season Award winners from the MVP, Manager of the Year, and Cy Young. This is Nothing But That Sports Talk. Were you ahead of the game? And yeah, the Final Four is decided, as you can see in my own little teaser. Welcome to Nothing But That Sports Talk. I'm Rafique Louison alongside Ryan Walker, and we have a very new special guest on the show. Let them know who you are, David.
Yeah, apart from being a very unfortunate Minnesota Twins fan, I've been in the sports media space for a while. Most recently, been an advisor for Blue Wire Podcasts for a little over a year. I own a sports bar in Michigan that opened about four months before the pandemic hit. So good timing there, but we're surviving. And then I sort of my day job, full-time job is VP of sales for which is a huge YouTube channel, huge Snap channel, top 10 list. You've probably seen it, even if you didn't realize it, and a huge sports fan too. So
yeah, and you know what? And WatchMojo.com doesn't just focus on sports; it also focuses on top 10s involving your favorite movies and your favorite TV shows. So if you're looking to find out which one of your favorite movies and TV shows and literally hip hop related topics that are involved in general, you go to WatchMojo.com. And yes, you get to see some of your top moments in sports as well, for those of you that are not familiar with it. And before we get to a little background, let's just address what we saw the past couple of days. Like, what are your impressions about the Elite Eight and the Sweet 16? Starting with the Sweet 16, Ryan.
Oh man, the women's tournament is spectacular. I'm glad, we've been speaking even off camera and off video and so on and so forth. We've been talking about the ladies' games the last couple of days with Baylor and UConn and wow. I want to ask you too, Paige, is she also the first freshman in for men's as well to win the AP Player of the Year award? Because I know definitely in women she's the first freshman. Is she the first freshman for the men?
Yes, she is.
Really?
That's why I had to make sure. I had to ask. I wanted to make sure. I was like, clearly she's the first freshman for the women, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I don't really remember any freshmen. So I had to think back. I don't know if Magic won it. I had to really think back. I was trying to think. I said, let me ask. But I think she's the first freshman in college basketball history to win the AP Player of the Year.
Yes, she is.
And that's phenomenal. Phenomenal. The games last night was phenomenal. She's not a freshman. She's really a different player out there, and they got a good unity. There's a lot of really good players on that team in general. Williams had a very good game. It's evening up to be what it be. Arizona's on a good run right now. So the last weekend for the women is going to be really, really exciting. But I'm telling you, Paige, she's steamrolling. The Sweet 16, the Elite Eight for both sides for the girls was really, really good. Everybody has a good run. So, and Paige just keeps it growing for UConn. So we're going to see what happens this last weekend of the tournament for both sides.
Yeah, exactly. Even with the crazy score between Caitlin Clark and Paige Beckers, it's Paige Beckers and the rest of her offense that's literally loaded with talent that managed to pull off that win against Iowa. And then, we get to the Elite Eight. Be honest, Ryan. Was that a foul or was it?
I mean, it's contact. There was contact, without a doubt. You know how that goes at the end of the game. It's always a knee jerk. You know what I mean? It's so tough when you it sucks when it ends like that, because when you got to rely on the refs, and you can't really rely on the refs, because it's like you could look at play 32 in a game, or play 18 in a game, or play 22 or whatever, and say, hey, we could have been better there, and maybe that would have changed the outcome at the end of the game. There was contact, but it's so 50-50 with refs like that at the end of the game. Sometimes you're going to get that call, and then there's going to probably be another group of people that's going to say, you know what, how can you call that at the end of the game? Let the ladies play, same thing, let the fellas play, and vice versa. I would have let it go. That's me personally. Was there contact? Absolutely.
Exactly. What do you think, David?
Yeah, I mean, it was a foul, but
yeah.
To that point though, it's like there's complaining either way, right? I mean, I especially, I didn't watch a ton of college hoops until like the conference tournaments and everything, and like you can't compare it to the pros, but you kind of can, right? I mean, the talent level is so the difference is so crazy there, but like the officiating is so much, it's so different as well. Like, there's so many games where the refs are calling a foul every time anybody is ever touched. Correct. Anytime anyone's ever touched, and like that, it gets annoying. Like I was watching one game, and it was a close game. I can't remember which one, because it feels like it's like every game. It's like a 4-point game under 2 minutes, and I think there was like 2 shots they got off, and like each team had shot like 10 free throws, because every time anyone does anything, they're on the foul line, and they're in the double bonus, and teams are in the bonus with 10 minutes left in the half. I think in that case, I mean, don't be losing by 2 points with a few seconds left, and you don't want to leave it in the hands of the ref. You got to get a good look, or I don't know, you got to get the rebound or something. I mean, to be clear, like Baylor lost that game because they let UConn go on like a 19-0 run, and
they had a huge lead. They had a huge lead in the game, so it wasn't like they were battling back all the way through, and they needed that one call at the end of the game. They were excluding Paige, and the rest of the girls are playing. They had a good enough lead, and this is not no Baylor team that was made overnight. There's some good girls on that team that they know what they're doing. They just let a couple of the opportunities go. So now to say at the end of the game, you're not going to get that call.
Yeah, I mean, they don't blow a huge lead. I mean, just like if you're winning by that much, with the chance to make the Final Four, like don't blow the lead. I mean, it's I'm sure if you look back at the Super Bowl where the Patriots came back from like 28-3, I'm sure there was like a play in there that Atlanta fans could complain about at the end. I actually think there might have been one. There might have been some like dubious flag, but no one's going to remember that. And I think moving forward, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see if people remember that, or if they remember sort of the crazy comeback. But don't blow big leads.
You made a good point. You made a good point with the Super Bowl. But Fico, we always talk about this with the college tournament. Super Bowl and NFL playoffs are 1-game situations, right? And March Madness is 1-game situations. This is the only tournament where every year you're gonna say, we never seen that happen before, and the next year, exactly what you've seen is gonna happen. You understand what I'm saying? There's too many miraculous things. Arizona girl, she shot the ball off the backboard. You understand what I'm saying? And they advanced to the Final Four. UCLA's men's are playing with guys injured here. They're in the Final Four. There's a lot of things that takes for you to get where you're going. So if you're gonna rely on that one play after you had, what was the most they had in there? Am I lying? 16-point lead?
Something like that, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's just crazy. And you know what? Players get away with calls all the time. You've seen that not just with college basketball, but you see it with the NBA in general. Like back when Giannis Antetokounmpo with a game winner off the New York Knicks, he got away with a 5-second violation, or he got away with a call on that one, and the news put out the very next day. I know you were tight about that, so yeah, that was just one of those
all day.
It's part of the game, and to your point, like everything that has to go right, everything has to really go right to go from 64, 68, whatever the number is, down to 1. Like you can be the best team in the tournament. Still, like you have to have incredible things happen. And if you bring it all down to like one foul call, like you kind of only have yourself to blame at that point.
Yeah, but
they had a good run though.
Yeah.
They
yeah,
definitely had a very good run.
yeah. The second highest seed in that region that UConn was playing at, they literally gave it their all. So they got nothing to be ashamed of. Unlike the previous opponents, Baylor gave UConn a tough game. You had them down 10 points, but then of course the 19-0 run is not the first time we see UConn pull off a run like that. And who's to say that it won't be the last, considering you're going to go up against Arizona. That McDonald girl might give Paige a run for her money in that Final Four matchup.
Yeah, she's running with a lot of momentum now, and that's another thing with this tournament. As you know, guard play can take you so far, and when you got good guard play, you're definitely going to need good guard play against Paige, because she's relentless, even whether scoring for herself or creating for others, and she's got a lot of good keys around her. But you know, this is the time where UConn is the favorite. But, you just never know. Like, I'm looking at the men's side, too, with the UCLA Gonzaga. Like, Gonzaga's the favorite. Gonzaga should win. But, boy, I'm scared to bet against UCLA right now.
I don't blame you.
Because it just, they got something crazy going, and it's one of those games that, hopefully they stay close. I thought USC could stay a little close, and the Mobley brothers are good down there. And Gonzaga, I think they got NBA dudes quietly on their team, and they're not telling nobody because they blew USC out the water. So back to the ladies with Arizona, that's going to be a good matchup. Paige got the award today. She was very emotional with the teammate. Everybody probably seen that on social media, and man, they're unified right now, and that's crazy. She's going to be in school again next year.
Yeah, too bad. Unlike the men's side, you can't go straight to the pros after freshman year. It's just too bad. But then again, they really should change that restriction. They really should. Like,
I think they should.
You could do it if you did it for the men's side, you could do it for the women's side. It's just something that needs to happen.
If she loses next week, what is she going to prove in college next year? Even if she loses next week, she goes score 40 next year. That's what she gonna do.
Exactly.
And they bringing in freshmen that's top girls coming in there too. So how that's gonna work out? She just gonna be there 2-3. She gonna do like Brianna did.
Exactly.
If that's the case.
Exactly, and she learns the hard way that it's always the outer conference teams and the last few rounds of the tournament that's going to be the toughest one to win. The Big East is basically their target practice. Literally.
Yeah.
A lot of teams in there.
All right. Now on to another impressive run. We got Stanford overcoming Louisville, and they're going to go up against South Carolina. And this matchup is important because it's the first matchup between two black coaches.
Yes.
What has that got you thinking? Starting with Ryan.
I want Dawn Staley to come through, man. Yeah, we talked before where, her in South Carolina, always well coached, one of the greatest coaches and a phenomenal player in college, with the Olympics as well, in the WNBA. I found out the other day what she was playing and coaching at one time. That one just went over my head as well too when she was in the WNBA. I hope they can push through. Both teams are really good. Like I said, everybody's fighting to get to this spot. But that alma mater, that college per se, with them always being good and never getting to that national championship, they're so close. It'd be nice if they could just knock on the door. But that's phenomenal for history for two African American young ladies to be head coaches of a women's basketball team and to be in this position. It's unfortunate that somebody will have to lose, but at least one will be in advance. So that's going to be good, for history wise and in general. But in regards to the contest, they're gonna go at it too. So I think all that once the ball go in the air, all that's gonna go out the door. Everybody gonna be ready to play.
Exactly. David, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean it's historic, and it's kind of like a lot of other things. It's sad it took that long for that to happen, and I don't think you can think of that it taken to 2021 for that to happen in a sport like basketball or anything else. There, I think that's going to be the not to discount Arizona, but I think the South Carolina and Stanford game is going to be the game to watch, because it I don't know, it's I'm not as big
The story
an
in the
expert as you
build
guys
up
are.
too, right?
The what? Yeah, the story. It's the story.
in
It's a
the
better story.
build-up.
It's gonna be a better game. UConn. It seems like UConn got. Whenever these teams go on dominant runs, right? UConn. I don't know what the odds are. I'm sure they were just massive favorites to run the table and win it all. But it seems like there's always that one game that these great teams have where they sort of have to pull it out. And I think that might be the Baylor game. And it's I don't know. I don't know if UConn's going to have another tough game the rest of the way. Like once they get that one, it doesn't happen. And it's happened a lot in the past with like the great on the men's side with like great Kentucky teams. This year obviously Gonzaga is the class of the field, but it's like when are they going to have their scare? Is it going to? And to your point earlier, it could be UCLA because they play good defense and nobody's going to give them a shot. But they have a week to prepare and they have good coaching and they check all the boxes there. But for the Stanford South Carolina game, I think my takeaway is like it's great. It's anytime history is made is great, and then it should be a very contested affair for the game itself, which is good all around.
Exactly, and we can't ignore the fact that Louisville gave those Final Four teams a tough game. They even managed to take out the only number one seed that didn't make it to the Final Four in North Carolina State. They were the only ones to take them out, and Dana White has the potential to be the greatest Louisville Cardinal of all time for that school.
They kept the ACC posts alive, for the women's game, and Louisville. I remember when Erica was on here a couple weeks ago, she talked about Louisville. A game of inches. I think it was that Phil Rizzuto who said that. He said baseball's a game of inches, I believe. And it really is, with the NCAA tournament, how it can get it could get absolutely, a call here, a rebound here, a loose ball here, so Louisville, they have nothing. Unfortunately, in this tournament, you have nothing to be ashamed of. You hear it and you're like, oh, it's cliche. It's a one game situation, man. It goes so crazy. Like you said, we talking about with UConn making a run. Arizona's gonna have to play a really, really complete game. You know what I mean? A really good complete game. Really control a lot of things guard wise and tempo wise. UCLA too. UCLA has a good defense, but they're really gonna have to control the tempo with a team like Gonzaga, because they got a lot of boys that can score and get to it. Timmy, Suggs, it's all about tempo right now. And I think for the most part with the end part of the Louisville game, the tempo is so key, and they had a better pace of what was going on, and clearly that's why they advanced on as well too. So the teams that are gonna make it whether it's a game of inches or not. It's so fine wine in the tournament. It really is. We watching it on both sides, and it's gonna be over next week. Thank God we had a tournament.
Yeah, we're talking about that before you came on. Like just looking back and like where we were at April 1st last year, like nothing was going on. MLB was pushed. Like tournament was old news. I mean, they canceled out like 2 weeks prior. Everyone was just trying to figure out if anything was coming back. People were watching like iRacing NASCAR on TV and all that. And I think,
we were watching a lot of they were showing a lot of old school stuff from every sport.
Yeah, I caught some of it. I remember just being like, our baby was born last March, like early March, and like, I was kind of looking forward to like March Madness, like opening day and all that, right? Because you was gonna be home all day anyways, and then you were home all day anyways, and there was like sort of nothing going on, and like sort of caught up on that stuff. I remember we were watching, me and some friends were watching like Australian rules football, and then they canceled that. We were watching a game and they canceled that. They canceled the season like in the middle of the halftime, so we lost even that. But no, it's great the tournament's back, and I think it shines a light on like what's what's so great about it, I think it's different than all the other sports, right? Like the Super Bowl has like must-win games, like NBA has must-win games, MLB does, but these they're really kids and they are amateurs, even though like some shine
true.
bright. And like to your point, like every possession matters, every foul shot matters, all that. Because I was watching the Michigan game last night, and UCLA they played well, they played stifling defense and all that, but man, down the stretch, Michigan they missed their last 8 shots.
Oh my goodness.
They shot like 40% free throws. They had like 3 chances to. They're down by 1, and then they're down by 2, then they're down by 2. They had 3 chances basically to tie or win the game, and the pressure got to them each time. Like a guy would take a far 3 and airball it, and then they took another bad 3, and then it was like another bad 3, and that would never happen.
He caught the ball like off a missed air ball, and he had more time to dribble and kind of set and come around and even make a move to the basket. He kind of threw it back up at the backboard. Then I was like, but you can't. My coach used to say that when the game gets really crucial and you call a timeout, you gotta look in everybody's eyes. And I'm not gonna say that nobody in Michigan wasn't prepared for that, because I'm not there. Jawan Howard is amazing, and those guys are amazing. You know what I mean? But sometimes when you actually have to do it at the end of the game, especially if you haven't had so many situations like Michigan, because the pandemic is so crazy, but Michigan been really steamrolling everybody the whole entire year, even though they had that like 2-3 week hiatus where they didn't play because of the COVID and so on and so forth. They were steamrolling people before that, and they were steamrolling people after that, and they lost Livers, who's key to their team. But they still were playing good. They're well coached. They still have the guys working. Now you're in this end of the situation, and UCLA playing with house money. They are 11 seed in a play-in game. They don't have nothing to lose. They are the worst people to play.
Yeah, and they, that's the fascinating thing about the tournament. I watched that playing game. I thought Michigan State was going to beat them. Michigan State blew that game against UCLA, and UCLA, to their credit, has looked good. UCLA's won those games and they've earned it. But I remember thinking last night too. I was like, see, Michigan, they really missed Livers last night, right? Because UCLA had good defense.
Yeah.
But you can have the greatest defense in the world, you're still talking about points, and Livers is the one guy on Michigan that he will hit the threes, he will make them. He shoots well. Michigan, they got a lot of good players. They play defense. They play both ways, but they really looked like a team with no leader on them last night. When Wagner took that shot, he was 1 of 8 on the night, right? I don't think he had confidence that thing was going in. And that point guard, who I forget his name, he was 1 of 7. They didn't have anybody that. Nope. I don't think they had anybody that was confident, that really wanted the ball down there. And not to mention my earlier point, that never happens in the NBA. The NBA, everybody on the floor is confident. If you give them any sort of open look, they're going to drain it every time.
Yeah, pretty much. And since we're on the subject of talking about the men's side, Gonzaga defeating USC was no surprise. But UCLA shutting down Michigan, that was wild. They had to make a couple extra efforts into the defensive end in closing seconds, but they became the second team to go from the first 4 to the final 4 since VCU did it in 2011. That is going to be a familiarity in later seasons. It may only be the second time, but it's starting to become a familiarity.
Yeah, team. We talked about it. Nobody's not playing to your jersey name no more. You're not going to be Duke and come in and get 25 wins just guaranteed. You're not going to be Kentucky or Kansas. None of the Blue Bloods, North Carolina, and it's just going to happen no more. Guys are playing. There's guys everywhere, especially with the system of JUCO and transferring and mid majors and 5th-year seniors and so on and so forth, or guys that played in prep school a little longer than getting transferred into the to college. So the field to me is competitive both ways. Now then it comes down to coaching and a little bit of luck and everything here and there. So that's not surprising at all. Gonzaga is where we all expecting them to be, because they're loaded. We've been talking about this. They're absolutely loaded. USC is really good. I hope people really understand that USC is really, really, really good. They really beat USC. Beat them really, really good. So that just shows you how good Gonzaga is. we hope UCLA with that defense can slow them down just a little bit. You know what I mean? Because if not, it might be good night there as well too, and them advancing on. And I guess Baylor's probably the best matchup.
Yeah, Baylor, Houston. That's gonna be insane.
Well, Houston's really good.
Yeah, they are. They literally should hold off Oregon State, and Oregon State put up a decent run. I mean, I thought it was going to be one-sided, but they did a lot better than we all thought.
Yeah, Oregon State had a nice comeback. I mean, all those. I mean, it's been said over and over again. Like nobody gave the Pac-12 any credit whatsoever this year, and I think that it's because of the COVID stuff, where like they weren't playing out of conference, and like it's the whole like West Coast thing, right? Like people aren't going to stay up till 10 p.m. to watch Pac-12 basketball out east and all that. But I mean, the Pac-12, like I mean, they're the clear beyond winners. Like they're the winner of the tournament. They look great, and it's going to help that whole conference. I mean, I think the question is at this point, again, it's been a weird season, but Gonzaga, not to jinx it, if they go on and win this, you got to consider one of the best college teams of all time, because just watching them play, it doesn't feel like, you don't think so? I mean, it feels like they could put up 110 points every game if they wanted to. They're just up by 25 late, and they do it. And I don't think they have any like star, but that's sort of what makes them great. It's like they don't have any. I don't see them having any flaws on their team whatsoever. Nobody talks about their defense. Their defense is like stifling, though.
I wouldn't call them the greatest, but I can understand if somebody else did. If they clear the table, they're however we like it or not, they're going to have to be at least a top 6 all time, up, and that might be a bad number, like the top 5 or 4, just based off clearing the table and winning. You have to be somewhere up there with the I guess the UCLAs of the 60s, or the Duke, I guess, in the late Bobby Hurley, Grant Hill little days, or whatever teams we're all thinking of, Kentucky teams and so North Carolina teams, 1980s, that they want to say, oh, this is the greatest team. That they would have to be somewhere up there, just off of doing all of that. And they're gonna have like 3 guys that are going to be NBA lottery picks. You know what I mean? One that's going to be like top 6. So they would have to be, if they clear it out, would have to be, without a doubt, one of the greatest teams to play.
I think it's harder to do it this year too, not to take anything away from like UCLA and all that, but it's tough to do it in this day of age. I mean, you mentioned it, like they're not playing for, like, nobody's playing for like the front of the jersey anymore. Like there's in this tournament, I mean, I think this tournament was impossible to like sort of handicap. I think it's like clearly Gonzaga and Baylor were the best 2 teams. Yeah. And there was like probably 15 other teams that could have been like 1 seeds or 2 seeds or 3 seeds. It's like throw a blanket over them. Then everything else, I mean, it's like I looked at that and I was like, I don't think you can tell a difference between a 4 seed and a 12 seed in most of these, and everyone in between. Like it was just like, yeah, I think it was impossible. And like, I mean, I think if you looked at the Sweet 16, Elite 8, it sort of showcased that. And now at the Final Four, you have the 2 best teams that everyone sort of knew, Baylor and Gonzaga, and then you have UCLA that came out of nowhere, and Houston, I think a lot of people slept on. I think Houston could have. They were one of those teams that could have been a number 1 seed very easily. But they're fun. They're fun to watch.
Yeah, UCLA has always been known to bring out some best NCAA tournament teams. Like, of course, you recall the Russell Westbrook era when he played there. You remember Kevin Love's time over there. I do remember watching these guys. UCLA, they always had good runs, and that's something.
You know what it is, Feek. They always are going to have great players that come to that school. You understand? That's UCLA. They've had great players. They've had times where they've had up and down times. They've had, remember the gentleman from Skull Gang on Memphis. Oh Lord, Kyle Anderson. Kyle Anderson went to UCLA. Darren Collison. Like you said, Russell Westbrook. Kevin Love. There was another guard that was good around the Darren Collison, Russell Westbrook time. Drew Holiday, right? Mm-hmm. He also, there's been Baron Davis went to UCLA. You understand? There's a plethora of guys that went to UCLA and did well. They're always going to get those guys recruiting wise. The thing is that they're one of the most most prestigious, if not the most prestigious, Division I college basketball school in college basketball for what they Adolph Ruff and Bill Walton and Lou Alcindor, you know what I mean, aka Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and you know, so their history is rich. Reggie Miller went to UCLA. I know Wendy's is happy that he's in the commercials now. You know what I mean? because that's all the great players that definitely went there. But it shows you how long that they've had a time to win again, excluding that, you know, Ed O'Bannon, Charles O'Bannon, Todd Bailey times, where they won that one title. Besides that, when did UCLA win again?
Never.
I don't think so. I think it's been a while. I mean, they're always in the Sweet 16, and then
there you go.
Yeah.
So for them to make that run now, they're getting back there. You know, it'll help their recruiting. It'll help USC's recruiting too. All those teams on California, on that West Coast, that's all the Pac-12 in general. Oregon State, that's all going to help recruiting. Now you probably get a lot more of those kids on that side to stick around a little bit more and be able to pull from other cities and states, because you always need a plethora of different players from everywhere, to me, to be good in college basketball. You can't just grab one crop of guys and say, yeah, well, we're all going to grab 12 New York kids. It's going to be good. Yeah, it's going to be good till they got to go to the Mountain West.
Yeah.
or until they got to go to play in the Summit League or play a game with a different pace. Or they play in the Ivy League team. Oh yeah, they're more talented than the Ivy League team. Yeah, but have they played that kind of pace? Have they played that kind of game? That's the different story. And it's good for the Pac-12. UCLA is, let's see if now they can, if they get past Gonzaga, they win it.
Yeah.
If they beat Gonzaga, they win it.
That is possible, because Gonzaga is the real threat to this entire other three teams that are in the Final Four. That is an important fact.
Yeah, I mean, you knock them off, you're going to beat anybody at that stage.
Yeah.
It's a tall order. Though, but it's an intriguing matchup. I mean, it makes it. There's a lot of storylines there. And on the other side, like Baylor and Houston, which is like nobody's talking about, but that's gonna be a really, really good game. Those are like two really good programs. I mean, Baylor,
dogfight.
Yeah, Baylor was like cruising this year, and then like I don't know if they had COVID or whatever. I think they just sort of, I don't know, you put it in like cruise control or autopilot or whatever. But they're good. I mean, when they're on, and like they've been doing well like this entire tournament. Obviously, to get this far, but they look great, and it's gonna be a good game. Like there's gonna be some good scoring in that one and all that. And like hopefully the Gonzaga game, hopefully it's close. You know, hopefully Gonzaga's not up by 15 at halftime and it's just 20. Inevitable. Yeah, because that's gonna be like Gonzaga. They will not give up a lead. Like and maybe I'm wrong, but if they're up 10, 12, 15 points, like the way they're built, they're not built to just give up these leads.
They've said they've been down a total of 10 minutes and 28 seconds in the whole NCAA tournament.
Yeah. And that was like at the beginning of the Oklahoma game, where it's just like Oklahoma was up like 9 points, and at no point at any point in that game, and I went to Oklahoma for school. At any point in that game, did I have any confidence that
Sooners?
Yeah, I mean, you know, the final flashbacks to the Final Four a few years ago where they lost by like 40 against Villanova, but you know, UCLA could be up 15 on Gonzaga, and unless there's under 10 minutes left, I would still say like Gonzaga is probably the favorite to win that game, because that's how good and quick they are.
Good they are, yeah.
Exactly. Well, I can't wait for the Final Four for both the men's and women's side to get started. This is going to be insane. All right, now we got to switch gears real quick, because baseball season is coming back tomorrow.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Let's pick our MLB award winners. Started with the AL MVP and NL MVP. David, who you got winning that category?
You know, it's easy to say Trout because he's the best player in baseball, but I'm gonna go with one of his teammates that is like, you know, has really turned a lot of heads this year. Is Ohtani. The Angels DH / starting pitcher. He's throwing triple digits on the mound, and I think he had like 5 or 6 home runs, and he had like an OPS of like 1,800 or something in spring training. And again, spring training doesn't really mean much, but you're talking about a guy that came over with an insane amount of fanfare. He's actually done pretty well thus far. He got the injury, coming back. Nobody really talks about the Angels or whatever, but I think the Angels are going to win the division, and I think that also helps bolster the chance. And I think Trout is still the best player in baseball, but I think if Ohtani puts up good numbers at the plate, but also is like a top 20 pitcher in baseball, like how let's say he's a top 10 hitter and he's a top 20 pitcher, how do you not give him the AL MVP at that point? So that's sort of my dark horse, but I think he'll do it, him or Trout. So, but I'll go him.
Yeah. What about the National League side? I kind of answered that earlier.
Yeah. Everyone's saying Acuna and he's great, and Soto. I actually think Tatis Jr. I think the hype is real with him. I think he's clearly, that's a fun team at San Diego. I think if MLB is smart, they'll continue to promote them and market them, and he's I think the best thing MLB has going for it right now. He has huge personality, a huge talent, great guy, and a very fun team on a franchise that really has never been good, that went out and they're we're going for it. So I'm going to pick him to win NL MVP.
Yeah, that is very interesting. Ryan, your picks start with the American League side.
American League side is very interesting and tough to pick, but I'm gonna go. Trout is the best player, so like you said, Trout is the easiest one to go. But I'm gonna go either Abreu on the White Sox, if he can stay healthy. That kid Abreu on the White Sox, I promise you, is a really, really, really good hitter. So if he can stay healthy, we'll see how that goes. But see, because the American League has guys on every team that it's so biased. I'm a Yankees fan, so if I throw Judge in there, it's just so biased, and he has to stay healthy. So that's a tough pick for me to just throw him off top. See, that was going to be my question to you guys. National League, I know where I'm going off top. Do you think that Ohtani can stay healthy enough to actually pitch 20 games and still play 130 baseball games at his position?
That's sort of the that's the $1 million question. I think he's come back stronger than ever. I don't know, and I don't know. It's going to be interesting, right? If the Angels, let's say they come out hot out of the gate, I don't know if they're going to want to pitch him 20 times. I think they'll want to save him a bit for the end of the season and potentially the playoffs. I think he can. I think he can, and I think he can be at a big enough impact. I hope
he do it. You know what? He gonna start brothers in my neighborhood start playing baseball. They gonna think they Bo Jackson and Deion Sanders and could do. Because it's so difficult. See me. I was gonna say before, you're a Twins fan, so you're my friend over the last 25 years, guys. Please continue to keep doing the same thing. God bless you. But It's never been done, really. It's not been done in modern day baseball. With 1920s, 1930s, with Babe Ruth and those type of guys who did those type of things, and it wasn't playing 162 games, and the game is so different. So I want him to. If he does do it, he gotta be the MVP, because it's never been done successfully before. Something usually shuts down. So I was going to ask you, did the Angels decide that he's just going to play the field and hit every day, or is he going to pitch, or are you still going to do that? If he still does that, then absolutely he has to win the MVP, with Mike Trout probably still being the best player in baseball, yet alone the American League. So National League, I like the kid Soto. I seen what my eyes seen 2 years ago with the World Series. The Nationals were depleted by injuries last year in that COVID pandemic year, so it's hard to judge any kind of analysis of what was going on last year. But that kid Soto is probably the best hitter in baseball, and if he's on, it don't matter if it's lefty, righty he hits against. He's dynamite. So that's who I'm going to go. And this might sound conventional. He's on the other side now. I think Mookie Betts with 162 games on the Dodgers could be very interesting. You know, with winning a series, going over there now, confident. We still know this guy's a top, 6, 7 player in baseball.
Yeah, for sure. Year in, year out, yeah.
So he's that's going to be good to see that 162 games. I like Soto and I like Betts.
That's very interesting. Okay, now we pick our Cy Young. Start with the National League side. And obviously, I think that Jacob Guam is going to get this one.
But I mean, yeah. I'm not a Mets fan. I call it like I see it. And I mean, Jason DeGrom is probably one of the best pitchers, if not the best pitcher in baseball. However, everybody wants. There's a lot of really, really dynamite pitchers. I think my Yankees guys got a guy named Garrett Cole that's pretty good too. But DeGrom is probably the cream of the crop. If the Mets have a lot of offense now, never always means it's going to matriculate to something. But based off what they have on paper, they better score more runs for the games that he pitches. As long as they score and give him run support, right? Am I saying anything that's wrong? David, stop me, please. If they score runs for him, right? Then he's going to win 20 to 22 games. The guy gives up like 1.2. He's not giving up a lot of runs per game. He's dominant. So unless it's an aberration this year, the run support comes, he should win Cy Young. I can't really think. There's a lot of good pitchers in the National League, but I can't really sit down and say, you know what? Sleepers and guys pop up every time. We might talk about this in 2-3 months, but like, hey, yo, this kid was good. That guy probably should win in the National League.
That's true.
I think if he's healthy, he's gonna win. Because you have like Bauer, but I think Bauer is a great pitcher, but I don't see him as like a Cy Young guy. I think he's that sort of next. He'll finish like top 5 in the Cy Young, but he has his hiccups. He has his hiccups. I remember like the Twins guy, like Max Kepler. I think Max Kepler hit 6 home runs in a row off him, right? And and he has other guys that own him. Like nobody owns DeGrom. Like Bauer's gonna go out there. He's gonna have like 3 or 4 bad games. But that's not what they signed him for. They didn't sign him to win the Cy Young. I don't know if it's like a focus. It's always like you'd never want to be like, oh, where's his focus? But the MLB season is long. I don't think he'll be locked into every single game. Like he's smart. He's got like a lot of other things going on. So I think he'll have 2 or 3 duds, like he typically does. And I think in an award like the Cy Young, like things like ERA matter and losses matter. And if you go out and give up 7 runs in 4 innings, you got to make that up over your next 6-7 starts when DeGrom has given up.
Bauer's on the Padres, correct?
No, Bauer's on the Dodgers.
Bauer's on the Dodgers. Okay, yes, indeed. The Padres got somebody else, I think, in pitching.
Darvish. I think Darvish is a dark horse. Because Darvish, no one's thought about Darvish in a few years, but Darvish he's sort of regained things a bit. So I think Darvish is a dark horse. But again, like DeGrom's going to win it unless like something catastrophically goes wrong.
Him. If they don't score runs for him, and him winning 14 games might still make him win the Cy Young, and it probably still should make him win the Cy Young, because that'll say accredited again to say, I'm doing my job, and the guys can't score. So that means that I'm really, really good just to even give them a chance. So he's got great edges on both sides of the sword.
Yeah, for sure.
What about for the American League side? Cy Young prediction, starting with you, David.
I think again, he played on a terrible team, and they're going to be even worse this year. But Bieber, man, he just shuts people down. And I think, if this was 10 years ago, I don't think he has a chance, because people, the voters, nothing against older people or older voters, but like, as the voting pool has gotten a bit younger overall, I think people don't. I think they're literally in baseball. They're doing a good job awarding it to like truly the best player. Like Trout has won the MVP now, and he's on a terrible team usually. So I think Bieber. I think they can see beyond, the team losing 110 games or 100 games, and I think Bieber's going to win it. I think Garrett Cole is the one everyone sort of wants to say. And like, here's the deal: like if Cole and Bieber have similar seasons. Like Cole's going to win it in a landslide, and Cole's a great pitcher. I just think, I don't know. I think Bieber's the best pitcher in the AL, and I actually think he may be the best pitcher in all of baseball. So I'll go him.
Yeah, Ryan.
I think I'm in the same on both of those picks. Bieber has better stuff. I won't say Bieber has better stuff. Bieber has a nice array of pitches too. Garrett can go throw about 3 or 4 pitches as well too. And Garrett's biggest thing is on his control. He controls his pitches phenomenally. But
I'll be right back in 1 second. Sorry, guys.
Absolutely. Bieber's got great stuff. It's just that that's the problem. He plays on a bad team, and I hope they owe him. If they override that, which they have in the Cy Young or pitching, because Cy Young is really an award on what you do pitching wise, whether it's your ERA, your earned run average, your WHIP, your walk, and your hits, innings pitched, your wins, losses, the strikeouts, all those things come into play, and what the team did on the day when you played offensively to support those games that you played. So if Garrett Cole gets 17, 18, 19 wins on the Yankee team and the Yankees end up being good, like you said, just by team you play for and notoriety, he might get the Cy Young Award.
Yeah. What about Manager of the Year for the American League and National League? Ryan.
I tell you, I'm so biased again. I hope, man, Yankees. I know the Yankees gonna be good, whether they're healthy or not. So I guess that means Aaron Boone will get it by accident. But no, there's a lot of good managers. I like what Toronto's doing. I think Toronto's going to be they're going to be very, very good. They went to playoffs and postseason last year, but they got the kid, the young DGO kid down there. They got the what's the young other gentleman that's very, very good down there. His father played baseball. It's going to come to me in a second, but they got a good manager and a good team down there. So Toronto quietly staying in the American League East can be very good. National League. It's so open. San Diego's loaded with talent. I'm not a big Davey Roberts fan, so I don't want to just give it to him, even though World Series or not. On the Dodgers.
Yeah, interesting.
San Diego.
Coach of the Year.
Yeah, for National League.
There's some good ones over there. I mean, that's wide open.
I like Council too in Milwaukee too. I'm thinking I always liked what he does down there. But if he could get them to the playoffs again, they fought again last year at the end, tried to get in. So National League could be very interesting. But before Dave left, we was also talking about Cy Young. So the manager race, we're gonna touch that one again too, because baseball sometimes you find out a lot of these sleeper managers in the beginning to the middle of the year, and they make the right buttons click. Cash in Tampa Bay. He does an amazing job with just making things click. And Manager of the Year, sometimes baseball is so, they don't understand. The 160, that's the only sport where there's a game on every day. Not necessarily meaning like, oh yeah, it's the basketball game. No, the NBA is not on every day. There's days where a team has off. There's days where there might not be no NBA on that day. Every day, once baseball starts, there will be a baseball game on TV. And with the marathon mind state you have to have for baseball, with the 162 games, the wear and the tear and the build, sometimes you'll see which different managers make buttons click and don't. Because I'm a Yankees fan. I don't think Aaron Boone's the greatest manager. I don't think he's the worst manager. I don't think. He's on a team where there's a lot of talent. By accident, if you turn around and spin, you should make those guys win 85 games, right? I guess everything else is just little things here and there. So great managing is like Terry Francona in his days, whether Cleveland or Minnesota has had a lot of great managers over the years. They have had the great farm system. They've had a great, just how they develop players, their core development, everything. Tampa has to have good infrastructure. Otherwise, they're going to be terrible. They're spending $7 a player. They don't have the money to blow like a Boston or a Yankees or a Mets or a Dodgers, to take that loss. like it's nothing. They don't have that same loss. So those keys have to be a little bit more different in baseball than in and baseball is the only other sport, pay attention to too, where the person that's leading your team is not a coach, he's a manager. Can't coach you. If you don't know how to play by the time you hit, then you are never going to know how to play.
That's a good point.
If you can't play once you got to that level,
Yeah.
you got about 2-3 years that you'll know in baseball. You'll never be heard of again.
Yep.
That's-
Yeah. It's very.
What's your prediction for? Sorry, don't mean to cut you off, but what's your prediction for the American League and National League Manager of the Years?
Yeah, I think Kevin Cash is like the easy one. I mean, I think like a lot of times it's won by a team that's nobody is expecting. I remember on the Twins, like Rocco Baldelli won it like 2 years ago, I think, because nobody, the Twins, like, they were picked to win like 75 games, and they were young, like they were sort of rebuilding, and they came on strong. Like a lot of youngsters sort of overachieved.
They won like 90-something games postseason. Yeah, they were good.
Yeah, so like I'm gonna say like the one I'm gonna go with. I think he's one of the best managers in baseball, so that's gonna help. And I think it's a team that hasn't done much for a while. And if I'm gonna pick the MVP from them, I might as well pick the manager. And I think Joe Madden. I think Joe Madden and the Angels, I think they're gonna do some good stuff. I think that division's very winnable, and I think if they win the division, he's gonna be tough to beat. I mean, it's like, La Russa, like, I don't know. I don't know. Like, I'm sure they'll want to give La Russa it, but I think that the White Sox aren't, and I'm very biased being a Twins fan. I actually don't think the White Sox are I don't think they're all the way there. I don't think they're as like perfect as everyone sort of thinks they are. I think, like you got Lubov, who's like a great player, and they got some really good young players, but that doesn't always sort of translate to success. So I'm gonna go Joe Madden with the Angels winning like 90, 92 games or something like that. On the NL side, I'll go with the chalk, as they say. I'll go with Tingler from the Padres. They, if they can hang with the Dodgers, I don't think they'll win the division, but if they can hang with them and come within 4 or 5 games of them and get that first wild card, I think he wins it, because again, that team is so exciting.
Loaded.
Yeah, just loaded. And like Dave Roberts, I mean, the Dodgers are like a super team, right? Like,
yeah.
They're going to have to do some historic things this year for Roberts to win it, in my opinion. And I think Tingler's like,
there he goes.
Yeah. Tingler, if Tingler's it. I mean, I don't know if there's going to be any surprise teams out of the NL. It looks pretty, there's like there's the haves and the have-nots, and like the have-nots are like terrible that aren't going to do anything, in my opinion. So, I mean, like, are the Rockies are awful. Like, they're not going to like sneak in. And like the NL West in particular, it's like, what you're getting. Like the NL East, like 3 very good teams, competing. Maybe one of those managers would get it, but I think those teams are so evenly matched. So I'm gonna go Tingler.
They got the NL East at this point. They got the NL East as the best division in baseball.
Yeah.
That is also true. And we can't wait to see how that division plays out as we come to the end of this episode. Nothing but that sports talk. Thank you for stopping by, David Woodley and Ryan Walker. And I can't wait to see what baseball comes. And on the very next episode, when we get like a few months into the season or so, we'll definitely make our predictions for who we think are going to be Rookie of the Year, or at least one of us will, because we don't know who's going to jump out the gates for Rookie of the Year.
Yeah,
that's the most unpredictable award to me.
Absolutely.
For sure. There's a lot of good ones this year too. So I think that's smart to wait a month, because nobody even calls up the rookies now until May or June to save the money. So no, thanks for having me on. I'd love to come back, and it was great meeting you both.
Exactly.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely, man. Great. This is awesome.
Yeah, exactly. And to all the big ballers out there, get your head in the game.